Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. I'm here as always with my good friend Dan Wiseman. It's another edition of the Late Night Villa Filler with some confirmed transfers. Yes, we're a bit late to this. Sorry, guys. But Axel Tuanzebe has signed on loan for Aston Villa for the third time. Dan, first of all, mate, how are you doing?
I'm very good, mate. Very good. Always glad to be back. These late night Villa fillers, mate. I'm glad. I hope they don't become a regular thing. That's like one of the. I love getting this out to you guys, as early as possible so you can enjoy it. I never like dropping you on this just before you go to bed. So I know your excitement is so much that you couldn't possibly ignore an upload from Heart of the Holte. But no, mate, it's one of them where we would love to have touched on this earlier, as I was saying. But both of us have been a little bit busy and stuff like that, so it's finally good to sit down and run through this one with you because. Why don't we just get this guy on a permanent by now? It's like the third time. It feels like surely for all parties. So hopefully that's a part of it. Whether that option to buy is involved. So I hope it is, mate. Because Axel, whenever he's come, he's been such a good addition to the club, hasn't he, mate?
Absolutely, and I think one thing I do find quite funny before we do kind of dive into it is remember. So the first time we signed Axel, off the top of my head, probably played about 12 games. Predominantly at right back under Steve Bruce, and he got so much stick, so much abuse. Nothing personal, just like the kid is clearly too good to be playing here. He's out of position. Like, yeah, okay, he's doing all right, but Axel is predominantly a centre half. But all of a sudden now we've signed him, Dan, and we're lavishing in the. We've got someone who can play. We can play him as a six. We can play him at right back. We can play him at centre back. There was even talk on the timeline about Ezri Konsa going back to right back, Dan. It's so funny, isn't it? But, Axel's come in and, I mean, if you can loan him 3 times, I mean, why spend a penny on him, Dan?
Yes, no, very true, mate. Very true.
But it's good. It's good to have him back at the club because, again, it's someone who knows the club. And, had we have done this a week earlier, I'd have gone, listen, Villa's getting the band back together. We're trying our best to keep who happy. But it's a sign that does make sense because I think throughout the whole of last season, that partnership of Mings and Konsa kind of remained untouched unless there was any sort of injuries or suspensions. We saw Courts come in for a few games and was brilliant, to be honest. Scored against Crystal Palace, was brilliant against Chelsea and, could feel hard done by. But, the performances Mings have put in throughout the season, and especially over the summer, have been nothing short of colossus, in my opinion. And, the man is looking like he's going to be taking the captain's armband as well. But this is a really interesting one, Dan, because, obviously we've lost Bjorn. It makes sense to get in a centre-back. But I think the argument the whole summer, just with transfers in general, people don't want a striker because they feel sorry for Ollie. People don't want a left winger because, obviously Jack was better. He's gone now. Sorry to bring it up again. But I think, amongst fans, there is this kind of air of certain players in certain positions being untouchable. You do have to sign players that are just as good, if not better, than the ones you already have. And there is definitely a case for Axel being the best centre-back at the club right now. Should he remain fit, Dan? How do you see him fitting in? Where do you see him fitting in, Dan? Because, Ezri's had a fantastic season. Ty, again, to reiterate the point, fantastic in the 2 games he played in at the Euros. And with it looking like he's going to be the captain, he's going to be around for a bit longer. Axel clearly isn't coming to the club to sit on the bench week in, week out. I'm just I don't know, because again, I do kind of feel Mings and Konsa are undroppable at this point. So where does Axel fit into this, Dan?
It's very interesting, isn't it, mate? And I think that's what we've asked with all of our signings is like, where does Danny Ings fit into all this? Where does like Leon Bailey and Buendia fit in when the wingers in El Ghazi and Traore perform so well? And it's like we're going to learn a lot. And I think we sort of saw in the preseason friendly today, time recording, against Salernitana, exactly how we plan to work out this season. But I think with those 2 up front in Watkins and Ings, what this does give us an ability to do is go to a 5-back, which I think is something that we've seen Dean flirt with in the past. It seems like he's going to finally move away from that 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 that he's so bestowed to at this point. And I think a 5-back could work quite nicely. And then you play a sort of three in midfield with either an attacking midfield or a defensive one with then the two up top. And it gives a bit more license to Matty and Matty in the two fullback spots, or Young, who is so used to playing in a five-back, has just spent the season playing for Conte, so, he's been very used to that five-back system. So I think it gives Villa that flexibility as well. But also, as you said, in just providing competition for spaces, it really works out because, there is... Courtney came into the side and did really well when he was called upon last season, I thought, and both you and I remarked on this in the podcast, is that Courtney very rarely put a foot wrong, but he's never going to replace a Mings or a Konsa in that first team. He is just that little bit way off. But Axel is definitely a lot closer to those two down. And as you said, when he's fully fit, if I draw our minds back to his performance against Kylian Mbappe in the Champions League that time in Paris with Man United, that's how good this kid is. I say kid, I mean, he's 23 now. I probably shouldn't call him that. But that Man United will loan into Villa with an expectation that he's going to play X amount of games this season, as Chelsea did with Ross Barkley. That's why fans were left scratching their heads at team sheets when Barkley was in it come mid-March. We haven't done anything since November. It's because that's unfortunately how these loans work, is that, as you rightly pointed out, mate, Man United won't loan into Villa if he's just going to sit and play back up to Konsa and Mings. So, I think it gives Villa flexibility in a formational sense, but it gives us that much needed competition just so that, and I'm not saying that they will, but Mings and Konsa don't get too comfortable.
I think it's important as well, especially off the back of the Euros. Ty's been in and around that England squad. He's seen how cutthroat and competitive it is. And yes, he only gets in to begin with due to Maguire's injury, not being fully fit. However, he's still there. He's had to get in ahead of Connor Cody. He's trained with the likes of John Stones. So, training with good players and playing with them, sort of consistently is naturally going to bring the best out of everyone at the club, not just Axel, not just Ty, not just Konsa, not just Courtney. But Dan, that night in PSG, as you alluded to, man, Axel was colossus. And he really did steal the show against the likes of Neymar, Kylian Mbappe. You'd have thought United won the Champions League that night, the way they were celebrating it. It was a very big win for them. But just to run down Axel's stats in that game, won 100% of his aerial duels with 92% pass accuracy. He made 7 clearances, only committed 2 fouls and 1 block. We're talking about, against Kylian Mbappe, the wonder kid, the piece de resistance, the absolute dog's bollocks, for lack of a better word. Football's most exciting forward player, arguably, other than Erling Haaland. And, I'd bet that Axel could probably keep Haaland quiet as well. So it's a very exciting transfer. And with Axel, he's only played 2 more games for Manchester United than he has for Villa. Obviously, he's been at Villa on loan twice, hasn't played too many games for Villa. But that just goes to show you, mate, doesn't it? That despite how good he was, despite, again, the lack of sort of consistent games at Villa due to sort of being plagued with injury, it's really unfortunate he's not been able to kick on at Manchester United. And you look, obviously they've got the likes of Harry Maguire. Lindelof, I do rate, to be fair, Dan, is a very solid centre-back, I think, with the right partner next to him. They've just gone and signed Rafael Varane. So, it's no wonder that Axel has kind of come out on loan, because the game time he's going to look to receive is going to be pretty low, if anything at all. But, the stats from Axel, regardless, are so impressive. Playing out from the back, again, is massive for him. Per night, he's attempting about 51 passes with a pass completion rate of 91%. It's absolutely solid. 3.01 average progressive ball carries, which is something we saw so much, Dan. How often in the Championship did we see Axel step out into that midfield and look to distribute the ball? And often, sparked so many attacks for Villa specifically. That's a really important attribute to his game, which is, clearly something that's going to be beneficial, because as fantastic as Konsa has been, him and Mings have both been more stoppers than sort of ball players, haven't they, Dan? That's kind of been down, and ball carriers, sorry, that's been down to the fullbacks, the 2 Matties. But again, to look at it, he's averaging 13 pressures per 90 on forwards. Absolutely incredible. You want your defender to be fierce, to get up in the faces, to really challenge the forwards. And again, averaging about 2.65 blocks per 90, which puts him within the top 1 percentile of centre halves over the past year. I'll absolutely take that, Dan. And do you know what's exciting as well is, we have mentioned the flexibility in terms of positioning. Villa have been out for a tall, destructive, yet elegant and ball carrying defensive midfielder to play in that number 6. I think Villa have found him, Dan.
You're very right. That's a position which we've always heard that Axel has been capable of playing, but we've never really seen that and over an extended period. And so I'm very excited to see. I'd love to see him in that mold. I really would, because you're absolutely right. He's got the stature for it, and we've heard for so long that he's been able to step into that position. He's been likened to I can't remember. It was I can't remember who said it now. I think it was a Bleach Report article a little while back, or someone like that ran a comparison between him and Javi Martinez in the similar in the way that they play and the way that he can step into midfield. And I think that's absolutely right. And he's been rumored to play there a lot at youth level. He's played there, I think, at under England under 21 level as well. So it's a position where I'd love to see him eased into that role, and he certainly fits the profile, mate. So I think that is the overriding theme that, sort of carry on from my first point. It's just that flexibility that he offers throughout the team. He brings experience of, very brief, but as you said, those European adventures that he's been on with Man United. And we can't forget, he holds the Guinness World Record for the fastest time to clear a game of Hungry Hippos, which is as much of a reason to sign a player as any other, I think, isn't it, mate?
Absolutely. I think a lot of what the club's doing now, post in a post Grealish time, is just looking to sort of reassure the fans everything's okay, everything's going to be fine. We've signed 3 very exciting forwards. We've brought Ashley Young back. We're getting the band back together with Axel, and it's just it's a feel good factor. And I think the club are doing a lot of things right, just sort of off the pitch as well. Then the training session the other day, despite the game being cancelled, was absolutely wonderful. I think what I really enjoyed about that, it was a really good opportunity. There was loads of kids there. It's completely different to a match day. There's not that sort of tension there. There's that it can potentially feel uncomfortable at times, which is of course something that we love the game for. But if you're young, you can't really rationalise it. It was nice to see so many families down there just enjoying the game. And again, signing Axel, it just kind of cements that the club are looking to make good decisions both on and off the pitch to really just sort of get the fans on side. I think we rightly so should have so much trust and faith in what the club are doing. And again, this just seems like a no-brainer, Dan, especially when you consider we're negative £5 million net spend at the moment. We want to keep that down. I think Villa will go out and sign some more players, Dan, as we were kind of discussing off air. I don't think Villa are going to just splurt their money, where they don't really need to. And bringing Axel in, whilst may only be a short-term solution, certainly gives the scouting department, Dean, Langer, the time to, sort of really assess that centre-back or 6th position as well, which again is going to be really important. And I'm just glad to see Axel back, man. It feels good. Let's get the band back together. Let's push for European football, Dan. There's exciting times ahead, isn't there?
100%, mate. This is a transfer which I haven't seen anyone disagree with or anything like that. You're absolutely right. He's a great player to have back at the club. Seemed to love it beforehand. And you're absolutely right, mate. I think when in an era where we're bringing in so many new players and the squad hasn't quite been given a chance to settle since we came up, it feels like every season we're going to be fielding a completely new starting 11. It's nice to see some familiar faces and just to give some continuity back to the players. And I think, that sort of thing whereby, as good as spending money is, it's always nice to give the players that have been at the club and are at the club confidence that if you do well, you do a good job, there's always a place for you. If we go up the ranks, you can come with us. And so Axel coming back is great, mate. You're absolutely right. Brings that feel good back to the club. And I haven't seen a Villa fan disagree with it, which is rare. So congratulations, Axel.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, mate. Welcome back to the club, Axel. Very exciting. We do have Watford away coming up, Dan. I can't wait for that one, mate. It's going to be very exciting. I'm sure we'll be back with another Villa Filler podcast extremely soon. A transfer rumour mill, if that as well. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel with your notifications on so as you never miss a video from us here. If you enjoyed this video, hit a like and also comment your thoughts on the signing of Axel Tuanzebe. Absolutely gassed to have him back. So yeah, let us know what you think in the comments down below and subscribe if you're not already. up the Villa.